If we're being honest, all teams are not created equally. And if you have been in the workplace for any length of time, I'm sure you've come to the conclusion that some teams are better than others. I mean, like knock it out the park, better than others. And in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 differences between an average team and a high performing team. If you don't know me already, my name is Barika. I am the founder and CEO of Simply Unique Coaching, and I help new leaders as well as leaders who feel stuck in their leadership journey and in their path, and they're not quite sure what to do and how to move forward. And I help those type of leaders learn the steps and the tools and the strategies that they can use to help them be successful and to help move their teams forward. I've been leading for more than 15 years. I've led over 18 teams, a lot of teams. Like I'm leading multiple teams right now again. They're like it's just to the point where I just don't even need to count them anymore, just because it is what it is, right? But anyway, for today's video, we're going to be talking about high-performing teams and the difference between them and an average team. So one of the first differences you're going to find with a high-performing team is that they have a high level of trust. They trust each other to do their work, and they trust their teammates to pull their weight as well and to do their work. And with an average or an ordinary team, or maybe a low performing team, you're not going to see as high of a level of trust between the employees. There is going to be second guessing as to whether or not someone's going to pull their weight, or maybe people feeling like they're in an inequitable situation where one may be feeling like they're doing more than the others, or they feel like they can't share things with each other. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in one of the other steps or stages. But your high performing teams are going to be able to work together efficiently, whereas your low performing teams are going to have a lot more of inefficiencies because of issues really between each other, because they really don't trust each other. And when you have complete and total trust in your teammates because they have proven and shown you time and time again that they're trustworthy, then you can relax. You don't have to say, oh, I gave this to this one person. Gee, I wonder if they're going to do it. You're like, okay, I gave this to Tom. Tom is going to take care of it. Okay, I can move to the next thing. And that makes the team much more efficient and a little bit more relaxed too. Next is going to be the ability to give and receive feedback. So on a high performing team, you have team members that are actually able and willing to give feedback to each other, and they're able to receive feedback from each other. So they're able to communicate those things in a way that can be received. And in those high performing teams, you're going to see both positive and constructive feedback being given to the employees. So that positive feedback, they're going to proactively acknowledge, hey, you did a great job on this assignment. Oh, I'm so glad you came through for me on this. Thank you so much. They're going to be more positive in acknowledging that, and then more proactive rather in acknowledging that. And then when it comes to like your lower performing teams, they're not going to be able to receive and give that feedback as readily. If someone tries to give feedback, they may get backlash. They may get some passive aggressive type of behavior. People might start to check out. Either the giving of the feedback is not really well tailored, or there's not enough trust there that people understand that, hey, if I'm giving the feedback, it's to help you. Or maybe sometimes people are giving feedback that really isn't helpful. And with the receiving of the feedback, it may just be like people are not open to receiving that feedback. And so in that case, really people can't move forward. And that's in really any kind of relationship. That's working relationships, that's personal relationships. If you can't be honest with the people that you are having to spend a lot of time with, then you're not going to be as productive or effective as people who can communicate what's working well and what needs to change. They're going to be way, way, way more efficient and productive than those who can't do that. Next is going to be accountability. Your high performers and your high achievers are going to be on that high performing team. Like a high performing team is all made up of high performing and high achieving employees. And because of that, they hold themselves accountable. And I'll just give you a perfect example. I know that I'm a high achiever. I have been for pretty much the majority of my life, as far as I can remember. I remember like doing really, really well in certain topics and subjects. And like at a certain stage, I want to say from elementary school, like my parents didn't have to get on me about my grades. Like I looked at my own grades, and I remember, taking report cards home and stuff like that. And I think from the time after elementary school, I just really wasn't worried about what my parents thought about my grades. It was like, no, I know that I should be getting A's and B's, type of grade. Couple of C's in math when I got to high school, maybe a D. When I got to algebra, yeah. But anyway, that's another story for another time. But also I remember too being in 10th grade, and I had been in advanced language arts classes for a really, really long period of time. And all of a sudden in 10th grade, I got placed, I think either 9th or 10th grade, I got placed in like a normal class, and I hadn't been in a normal language arts class from maybe the 3rd grade. And so the kids in that class really didn't care about their grades. So they were hanging out, talking, doing all this other stuff. And so when I got my progress report, my first progress report, and I saw a D on there, I was like, whoa, this is not me. Cause even I'm normally in the advanced classes and I normally get A's or B's in language arts. So this is not a thing. This is not going to happen. I don't think I didn't talk to either one of my parents about it. I talked to the teacher and I said, hey, I'm talking too much in this class. Can I sit my desk next to yours when I'm here? And she's like, yep. And at the end of the year, I asked her, I said, can you please recommend me for advanced placement next year? Because I can't be in a normal class just because in that particular class or setting, those students didn't care about their grades. And I'm like, this is not for me. And so again, pointing to those high achievers. So when you have that high performing team, you're going to have a team full of people who take accountability for their actions. And they're going to expect people around them to do that. So when you put a combination of those kind of people together, things are going to happen. Now, when you come to the low performing teams or the average performing teams, they're not really going to have that in place. Okay. You might have a mixture of high performers and you might have some low performers and you might have some average performers on there. And because of that, there's not enough consistency and enough of people bringing their best to the table for that team to be able to go ahead and thrive the way that a high performing team is going to perform. So for a high performing team is going to focus on solutions. They're going to see solutions as opportunities. They're going to say, hey, this is a task that we kind of take on. It's like a challenge. It's like, ooh, can we do it? Oh, we did it again. Well, we came across another challenge and we were able to conquer that. Can we conquer this next challenge? So it's kind of like one of those things where they take pride in their own work and they enjoy that challenge. And even as a leader, these are the best teams to have because they're not just going to point out a problem. They're probably going to see the problem, fix the problem, or try to fix the problem, then tell you about the problem. And then typically with a high performing team, they're experienced people and they're go-getters and that kind of thing. So whatever they tried is probably going to be the most reasonable thing that they try. So you can kind of trust them. Or if you say, oh, I know you guys wanted to try that, but don't do that, do this instead. You can redirect them, but they will take initiative to try to fix the problem and not just point out a problem. They'll say, oh, I noticed that this was happening in this particular program. And so I went in and made some changes to the code if they're coding or doing something like that, right? And I think that this has been fixed, but I just wanted to point it out to you. So by the time it typically comes to you, either they're working on a solution or they have already worked out a solution, or maybe they want your input or whatnot, but they are not going to be the employees that you are constantly thinking like, why can't they just try something or figure something out? Why can't they just be proactive? Why is it that I'm always having to hold their hand? And no, high performing teams are not like that. Now, a low performing team or an average performing team is going to be a team where they're going to look at all the problems and they're going to bring all the problems to the meeting all the time without any solutions or suggestions. And that's not what you want as a leader. You want to help your employees become critical thinkers where they are actually helping think about solutions and proposing potential solutions to problems and not just pointing out problems because listen, anybody can point out problems. There's a massive world full of people pointing out problems, but how many people can point out solutions and solutions that are viable and that work, or at least you tried? Come on, give us a try. And that is what's going to be valuable to leadership and to the company. Also, one of the differences you'll see between a high-performing team and the other kind of teams that I mentioned before is a high-performing team is going to be full of people full of optimism. They have we can do it, we can come together, we can make this happen. They'll have a positive outlook and focus on what they can do. And they're not going to focus on and spend a lot of time on what they can't do. It's like, that's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. So why are we even putting effort towards what we can't do? What we can do is this, and that. What we can try is this, and that. And so that's what they're going to focus on as a high performing team. But as you can guess, the low performing team and the average performing team, they're going to focus on the problems. They're going to see lots of problems and they're going to think negatively and they're going to think that, oh man, it's going to suck forever, even if things aren't that bad, but to them, the glass is always half empty. And maybe even less than that. So now let me ask you, what type of team are you working on? Let me know. Are you on a high performing team? Are you on an average performing team? Or are you on a low performing team? Let me know in the comments. And with that being said, make sure you check out my list of leadership videos. I will link them here. And if you're feeling stuck as a leader as to where to go or what you should have under your belt, what the necessary skills are, get my new leader checklist. And with that being said, make it a great day. Take care. Bye.